Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us. Looks like we have many people showing up. Excited about this. Hello, everyone. My name is Sapeli Olapaitanu, and I am the chair of the advisory board for the Querétaro Global Chamber. And I'm excited to be here today to introduce one of my dear colleagues and friends, Roberto Cruz. Roberto Cruz is with Russell Bedford. He's a public accountant and partner with over 25 years experience. We're really excited to bring this topic to you today, talking about all of the wonderful tax benefits of doing business here in Mexico. And if you haven't met Roberto Cruz, not only is he amazing at what he does, and I've had the opportunity to do business alongside of him and get to meet businesses and partner with him, but he's also a TikToker. And I try to tell everybody about this every time I talk about Roberto. So he's really bringing the sexy back to accounting and helping the younger generation embrace accounting and this field and keep accounting alive. So Roberto Cruz, thank you so much for being with us today, and I can't wait for your Globinar.
Thank you very much, Cipele. Thank you very much, and thanks to everyone. Hello. Thanks for joining. I think quite of people here that I know, and that's great to have you here. Well, as Cipele just mentioned, I'm an accountant, but I think most of the people does not think that I'm an accountant since I'm very, I always look out of the box and I always try to do something new and, to innovate and do many things. And one of the things that I like to do, as Joseph Pele mentioned, is that I am a TikToker. I was invited. I'm a professor as well. I teach classes in some universities here in Querétaro. I'm always traveling also too much, but let's say that my place of home is here in Querétaro. And I want to share with you one of the things that I was surprised about is that since I'm a professor, I was invited by an university, and this university made an event, and this event was about some students that came from high school in order to go and study their professional career here in Querétaro. And I was surprised that there was around 400 more or less students from high school. And, the dynamic was that they have to sit in the table of each career of the university. And I was talking about the career of the profession of an accountant and taxes. And from all those 400 people, 400 students that joined the event, how many of them were interested in the accounting and the taxes? From 400? Just give me a number, just put it on the chat and I can see the chat. How many of those 400 students do you think that came? 1 or 3, 40, who else? Who else give more? 5. Okay, well, from those 400 students, zero of them were interested in the accounting. 0. And even, I was talking about taxes and they were kind of, it was boring for them. It was a lot of saying, you smell it. Even they told me that you smell, well, not me. You cannot smell me here right now, but you say the accountant smells like cartoon, like how do you say this? Raw cartoon, carton, like and they say because you're always, in an office, you're always accounting numbers, you're always doing this, you're always doing that, and we're not interested on that. So when I started to talk about the accounting, they were not interested on it. But once I got into an interesting topic for them, is that I told them, and you know what? I'm also a TikToker. And that was amazing for them, that I was a TikToker, an accountant that does TikToks. And you know, they were interested and they were saying, okay, can I be your friend? Can you join? Can I join your social media? Can I send you an invitation? And from that day, I became popular because of them, because I have a lot of friends now. Students from high school, but I have a lot of friends. Well, one of those things is that I wanted to talk to you about here in Mexico, and I shared with you this experience because some of you, or probably all of you, think that accountants, we are boring. So I'm not going to do this a boring thing, a boring webinar. So I'm going to speak just like a normal guy that is not an accountant, but knows something about taxes, okay? And I have an expertise on taxes. As Ipele just mentioned, 30 years of my life, I have spent this time doing taxes here in Mexico. And also, as Joseph Pele mentioned as well, I have the representation of the firm of Russell Bedford here in Querétaro. Russell Bedford is a firm that has, where we're a worldwide firm of accountants and business advisors, and we are in 120 countries, and we have around 30, 180 offices all worldwide. So I'm in charge of the office here in Querétaro. And also, as I mentioned, my specialty is in the taxes. So let's talk about some benefits that we have here in Mexico. And I will let you know also as well, how does the taxes in general terms, and as I mentioned, thank you for presenting, for projecting. And as I mentioned, just very easy way to talk about the taxes. So how do you calculate taxes here in Mexico? You calculate taxes here in Mexico just very, well, not very simple, but as I mentioned, you just got your revenues, you make your deductions, and the tax rate here in Mexico is 30. That means 30% of the tax rate of the income tax. So once you got incomes minus the deductions, then you get the result, and the tax rate here in Mexico is the 30%. Okay, so am I clear until now here? Just you can say yes in the chat so I can see that you're not sleeping. Okay, that's great. That's great. Thank you. Okay, so that's good. So then after I mentioned we pay the taxes as at 30% of the taxes here. I'm going to change my glasses right now. Sorry about that, because I got glasses from another guy that is here. Got it. Now these are my glasses. Sorry about that. So, so you pay taxes that way here in Mexico. And one of the things here is that, you know, since the US have been planning so many changes on their politics and also on their taxes, such as the new tariffs from from importations and everything. Well, most of the countries made some changes also, and here in Mexico, since we are their very close neighbor, these new tariffs and these new politics and rules that the US has been established affects us in our economy, such as that our principal client as a country is the US. So one of the things that our government, our new president, that it's a woman right now here in Mexico, our new president here in Mexico, have made for, make more attractive the country to other countries is that if you cannot, export your products to the US, you can, just look around and see that Mexico has some benefits, many things that you can just make investment in Mexico. So one of the things and the focus that I'm going to talk to you about is it's on the tax side. Nevertheless, we also are going to talk about some general things that these new plans for Mexico is it's planned by the government here in Mexico. So the next slide, please. So this is the background. As I just mentioned, last year was the presentation of the new Mexican president. She's a woman now, first woman in Mexico that is president. His name is Claudia Sheinbaum. And it was presented last year in the presentation for the people. They named the people here in the country. And she presented a plan, and she named it the 100 steps for transformation. And this will take place during the period in which she is going to be our president, from the 2024 to the 2030. Okay, so what's the main topic about this plan is a fairer and more equitative Mexico. So that's the plan for it. Okay. She made also this presentation of the Plan Mexico. She made it on January of this year. So from January from this year, and the plan also includes some actions as a reaction to the Trump effect. And I mean the Trump effect, just the things that I just mentioned to you. The new tariffs, the new politics that the US is taking place in their countries. And there are 30 goals that the new president wants to reach during the period of the period in which he's going to be our president. Okay, so the next one, please. So here are the resume. A summary of the 100 steps to the transformation. The next one, please. 100 steps to the transformation by Claudia Sheinbaum, our president here in Mexico. So she says that the government will maintain Republican austerity, financial and fiscal discipline. So this means that in the plan, they are considering to make some changes or do something regarding the taxes. Another thing that it's on the steps to the transformation is that there will be no tax considerations for large taxpayers, that it's large is big taxpayers, and will be continue fighting against the tax evasion. Here in Mexico, another thing that the tax authorities are doing is that they are using AI, artificial intelligence, and they are doing it very good. They are probably 2 or 3 steps in front of us. in front of the taxpayers. Since they already are applying this AI, and they are doing a very good job, and they are collecting more money, and even, they are always publishing that they have a lot of money collections from the taxes. Even they have numbers that have been record in the last 10 years or 15 years by this administration, that they are doing the good things to collect the taxes. One of the things that they are doing here is that since they are using AI for collecting the taxes, they have all the automatization of the of the taxes that we here in Mexico file or present to the tax authorities, since they do a very fast reconciliation. Here in Mexico, also another thing that we do is that we have electronic invoicing. So this electronic invoicing that here in Mexico is that once you make a sale of anything, you have to issue an invoice. And this invoice has to be, let's say, authorized by the tax authorities. So once you make a revenue or you do any kind of sale, then you have to issue this electronic invoicing. And this electronic invoicing goes directly to the tax authority records. So once you really got the invoicing, the issue of the invoice, automatically the tax authorities knows what you are invoicing, know what you are selling. So they already have this information. Also, another thing that we have to do here in Mexico is that we have to make payments in advance of the annual tax, of the annual income tax. By this is that I mean that you calculate your income tax on an annual basis. Nevertheless, here in Mexico, you have to make payment in advance for the revenues that you do every month. So these payments in advance, you do it every month, okay? So what they are doing, what the tax authorities are doing is that since they know when you issue the invoice, they already know what you are selling, what you are invoicing. And once you file or present your tax return or your tax declaration, your monthly tax prepayment payment in advance, they know, and they make this very fast reconciliation due to the AI, to the artificial intelligence, and they make this reconciliation. And even, once you file or present your tax return or tax declaration, during the 3 next days or even 1 day, they send you some invitation to clarify why are differences between the invoicing that that they are doing, they know what you invoice, and the tax return that you file or that you present. So this is a very, very fast administration that the tax authorities has nowadays. So they are making a lot of money here in Mexico. Tax authorities are making a lot of money since those differences. They make this reconciliation, they send you an invite and tell you, okay, clarify me why you have this difference. And I can guarantee that probably 95% of the whole taxpayers have this issue. So tax authorities are collecting money from there. Okay, that's one of the things that is happening here in Mexico. Okay, now the other one, back to the presentation. The other one is that the government say, we will launch the most important simplification and digitalization of procedures in the history of Mexico. We must put technology at the service of the people and the nation. So that's what I was talking about. They are doing their job very, very good. they are using AI, and they are, making a lot of simplification of many processes that we have here in Mexico. And also this digitalization that they are doing, it's because, well, we're all worldwide going that way, okay? So these are the three main topics of the 100-step plan to the transformation. The next slide, please. Plan Mexico. This is the Plan Mexico, okay? The next one, please. Some goals. Remember that I told you about the goals that they have in the Plan Mexico? Well, some of the goals that is not just the tax matter, is that this plan wants, the goals for the plan is that to move from the 12th to the 10th place in the world economy. I don't know how they're going to do it, but that's the plan. Raise the investment by 25% above the gross domestic product. So this is a very, 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 how to say it? I think very difficult to do it, but this goal is related with the topics that I'm going to talk to you about, the tax benefits, because these tax benefits are focused in getting more investment to Mexico, okay? Another goal is to generate 1.5 million more jobs here in Mexico, okay? The other one is domestic consumption and supplies. And they're focusing on textile, footwear, furniture, and toys. So this is one of the goals that also the US has. So here in Mexico, we also have this goal to, make and try to buy things from domestic suppliers. Another one is, well, increase the domestic content by 15%. And the other one, the last one, is to be one of the top 5 most visited countries in the world. That I think that is not, we're not very far from that. I think, not that I'm from here, but Mexico has a lot of very, very beautiful places. And I think, well, this is a good goal. I think, tourists always brings money. So money, activates the economy. So this is another goal. And these are some of the goals from the Plan Mexico. The next one, please. Okay, so now we're going to the tax incentives. That's the main topic of what I wanted to talk to you about, okay? So remember that I told you that these tax incentives were, focused on new investments here in Mexico. Well, some of these tax incentives are the next ones, please. Immediate deduction, let's say immediate tax deduction for new investment, new equipment, new machinery, in general terms, new fixed assets. This is one benefit that we have from this year and until the 2030. The other one is extra tax deduction related with the training and innovation. And as I was mentioning you, and I share with you the experience regarding the students that we have on the school that I teach, I think that we have to, as you know, employers, we have to take care about the training of our employees. That's one of the things that I always am telling my clients, that make this training for everything, for every area, every industry. And this is very important. This makes us better, and this makes us our country better. So these are the two incentives or tax benefits that there are new here in Mexico. And if you are planning to invest in Mexico or are planning to grow with your employees or are planning to buy, you are probably you are already you have already your business established here in Mexico, but you are planning to make some more investment on building, on machinery, on equipment. This is also interesting for you, okay? The next one, please. So general things about these new tax benefits, they are applicable from January the 22nd of this year until September 30 of the year 2030, okay? As I mentioned, is until our new president will be here as a president here in Mexico. Applies to who? Applies to legal entities. And we have here also different regimes that you have to pay taxes, and you have to look at this regime once you accomplish some characteristics from that regime. And the main one is the general one. The general is the one. And also there's a small regime for small taxpayers that here in Mexico we name it Reciclo. This is a regime for small taxpayers and also individuals, okay? Individuals can also apply these tax benefits for business and professional activities. Also, those who are applying other tax benefits that has been in the past, they can continue applying this until its full conclusion. That means that if you have a tax benefit regarding some fixed asset that you have from the past, you can continue using it until the end, okay? The other thing is the evaluation. Well, there will be a committee for the application of this tax incentive, and it's almost created. It has been, you know, it's been organized, and I think by June it was the date that has to be organized and created, okay? The next one, please. Okay. So what do you need in order to run these tax benefits? You have to have a Mexican tax ID. That means that the foreign foreign investors cannot apply this one if they don't have a tax ID here in Mexico. Okay, that's one of the things that you have to accomplish. Here in Mexico, we also have some thing that is the positive opinion. This positive opinion is issued by the tax authorities to all the taxpayers that has been accomplished with their tax compliance. This means that if you don't, if you're missing some things that you have to file or to present to the tax authorities, as I mentioned, they already know, because all this automatization that they're doing with the AI. So this positive opinion, the tax authorities issue it to the taxpayers that have all on the rule, all their tax compliance accomplished, let's say that way. So this positive opinion, it's a simple letter, and in this letter just mentions, okay, you are positive because you have all your tax compliance done, or it's negative if you are missing something from the tax compliance that you have to do here in Mexico. That's the only things that you have to do with this positive opinion, and has been, I think, a good tool for tax authorities because, you know, here in Mexico also, suppliers and clients ask for this positive opinion in order to buy you something if you're going to be your supplier. So this has been a very interesting tool that tax authorities implement in Mexico. Another thing that you must accomplish is that submit the investment project, the collaboration agreement, entered into the SEP, that the SEP here is the Secretary of Public Education, because if you're going to apply the immediate deduction, you have to have this investment project. If you are going to apply the incentive of the additional tax deduction for training of your employees, you have to have this agreement with the secretary, with the public secretary of education here in Mexico. Okay, that's one of the two things that you have to have in order to apply these benefits. Also, you have to have a certificate of the compliance issued by the committee that I just mentioned. There is going to be a committee that will authorize you to apply the tax benefits, okay? And the last one is comply with the guidelines issued by the committee, okay? So you have to do, you have to accomplish all of this in order to apply the tax benefits. I don't know if it's clear until now. Let me check the chat box. You have any doubt until now? Any comment, something that you want to ask me, say? Don't be shy. You're going to participate. I'm going to finish and I'm going to make some questions. So hopefully you have make your notes over there, okay? No comments, says Jenny. Thank you, Jenny. You're not sleeping. Okay. Citele, you're not sleepy also. Great, thank you very much. Thank you very much for following. Okay, so beware, okay, because I'm going to make some question at the end. And yes, you will have you will have your reward. You will have a free tax advice from me. Okay, so be aware of that because I'm going to do that. Okay, next one, please. Next slide. So now, as I mentioned, there are these two tax benefits. One of them, and we are going to talk not so technical, but in general terms, how is the immediate deduction in fixed asset investment benefit? Okay. You say, well, it says that opting to make the immediate deduction of the investment in new fixed asset acquired after the entry in force of the decree, that it was January the 25 until September the 30. Okay. The original amount of the investment might be deducted in the fiscal year in which it is made, limited to the percentage established in the decree itself. So let me talk to you about how we make the deduction from fixed asset here in Mexico. Here in Mexico, we have our income tax law, the rule that fixed asset has to be deducted not in 1 year. You have to deduct it in several years. It depends on the fixed asset. If the fixed asset has a long life term, then the deduction will take also long life deduction. If the fixed asset has a short time term, then the deduction will be also as well short. But what is this benefit referring to? The immediate deduction. It means that you can make the deduction in just 1 year of a lot of fixed assets. You can make the deduction in 1 year. That's the main attractive about this tax benefit. So for new companies, if you are going to, if you are investing in here in Mexico, then for sure, I think that this tax benefit will help you in order to pay less or even not pay taxes. So this is a good benefit, okay? It says also that you must keep the fixed asset in use for at least 2 years. It is not applicable to all the assets. It's not applicable to office, furniture, and equipment, fixed asset not individually identified, aircrafts, or other than those used for agriculture, and only new goods used for the first time in Mexico are considered for this tax benefit. This last point is very good point because sometimes some of the companies that has their corporate companies in other countries or have related companies in other countries, some countries send some machinery, used machinery to Mexico. And this is a used machinery. But since it's the first time that this machinery is used in Mexico, it doesn't matter if it is used. But when you import it and you start using it here in Mexico, for this tax benefit will be considered as a new fixed asset, and you can apply the tax benefit of the immediate deduction. Was that clear? Can you just tell me in the chat box if that's clear for everyone? Yes? Clear. Thank you, Joshua. Okay, clear. Thanks, Jenny. Okay, the next one, please. Immediate deduction in fixed asset. The portion exceeding the original amount for applying the percentage of the decree will be deductible only when they are disposed of, lost, or no longer for useful. Yes, so instead of talking of the deduction, okay, Sipela, yes, you say, yes, so instead of talking deduction of 3-5 years, you get a full deduction in 1 year, for example. That's correcto. That's correcto, Sipele. Instead of making the deduction in 3-5, even there is machinery that goes all the way into 10 years, or buildings that go all the way to 20 years, you can make the deduction in 1 year. That's the main benefit that you have on the immediate deduction, okay? You will not get the 100% of that deduction. That's a good thing that we have to clarify. You're not going to get 100% of the deduction because you will bring into the actual value present of the fixed asset, you will bring that to the present, and that's why you make, that's financially an operation that you calculate the valued net present of the asset nowadays, and that's why you're not going to have all the 100% of the tax benefit. But what this says is that the remain value that you did not make that deduction, you can make that deduction once the asset is no longer useful, okay? Do not consider the immediate deduction for the calculation of the profit coefficient of the prepayments of the income tax. This is also one thing that we have to keep in mind. As I mentioned in the beginning, here in Mexico, we make payments in advance for the annual income tax. And this payment in advance, the monthly payment in advance, are calculated with this coefficient that we're talking about here. And the rule says that you don't have to consider this immediate deduction to calculate this coefficient profit for the monthly payments because you will pay less. So the tax authority said, no, don't consider this. I am giving you this tax benefit, but for the payments that you're going to give me in advance every month, you will not consider that. So that's one of the rules, okay? Apply immediate deductions in equal parts in the calculation of the monthly payment in advance, okay? And you can also, if you bought the fixed asset at the beginning of the year and you're going to make the immediate deduction at the end of the year, you can update this original amount of the investment, okay? The next one, please. Okay, so here are these examples about the rates that you can apply. There's a huge list, but I'm not going to put the whole list here. I'm just going to make some examples about which assets you can do it. You can apply the immediate deduction and also the percentage that you can apply in 1 year. So I put the two highest one and the last one is the three highest one, I mean, and the last one is the lower one. So manufacture assembly of components and hard disk and electronic boards, 90%. So instead of deducting it 30% each year, you can deduct it in 1 year, 91%. Electric vehicles, 86%. This is very good one since vehicles, you have to deduct it in 4 years. So you can do it here with this benefit in just 1 year at 86%. Dies, molds, and tooling for companies, there are 89%. And the last one, I mean, the minor percentage that is on the huge list that I just mentioned is the fuel pumps for trains that will be deductible 41%, okay? The next one, please. Okay, so additional deduction for training or innovation expenses. So we finished the first one, the first benefit. Where do we find this list? Okay, I will send it. I will try to, let me see if I can share it with you. Right now, once I finish, I will try to share it with you, Cipele. Or if not, you can. I will put my email and my telephone number, and you can text me, and I will send it to you by text message or even by email. Okay, I think that will be easier. But I can send you this one. Okay. Additional deduction for training or innovation expenses. So this is. We finished with the immediate deduction. Now we are into the other tax benefit. Okay, applies to the annual tax return for the fiscal years. Okay, so this additional tax deduction just applies. Remember that we have here in Mexico payment in advance. You will not apply it there. You will apply it until you calculate the annual income tax, and you can deduct these additional training and innovation expenses in that calculation, okay? Training that provides technical or scientific knowledge related to the taxpayer activities. So you have to train, well, if you pay training for your employees, you can make this deduction, but it has to be related with your activity. Even, probably if I didn't choose to be an accountant, I would be a chef, you know. That was always my dream. I like to cook. But if I take a chef course in my company, for sure that will be not a training, a training course that I can deduct and make an additional deduction. Okay? And also, the employees that you give this training has to be in the Social Security here in Mexico, registered, okay? It will not result in a tax loss. Let's say that probably you calculate your income tax of the year, and probably it's, let's say, more or less not a high amount, and you have a high amount on the expenses of the training and innovation expenses. And this means that if this expense is higher than the tax that you have to pay, this will not take you into a tax loss. You cannot generate a tax loss carry forward because of this. So your tax payment will be zero. Even you have more expenses that you can apply, you cannot apply what exceeds your tax payment. Okay, it will not be accumulative for income tax purposes, and you have to register the training or investment project that you will have on the innovation expenses. Okay, and the next one, please. And with this one, I think we're going to finish. This is the last one. What does this additional tax benefit here in Mexico is regarding about? The deduction is the 20%. You calculate at 20% additional. You have your total amount of your expenses of your training, of the training expenses for your employees or your innovation expenses. Then you will apply at 20% of that, and you can add this 25% to the whole expense. And that's very simple how this benefit is applied to your tax payment. So you can deduct additional 25% of these expenses. The increase will be positive difference between the fiscal year training or innovation expenses, and it will be the average expenses over the previous 3 fiscal years. So you have to also calculate an average of the 3 last fiscal years of how many expense did you have on those years, and the exceed of that average, then you will apply the 25%. Okay, so this is the two benefits, the tax benefits that I just was trying to tell you, and that's it. That's all my presentation. Here is my cell phone. You can reach me there. If you can text me, if you want me to send you some information from this talk that I just mentioned, there is also my email, and now you can open your mics, please. So please let's make this more participate. Where do I find this list? So I'm checking okay, the chat box. Okay, so someone who wants to talk about, someone that has some doubts, someone that has something to add, you can open your mics, even you can open your camera so I can meet you here now. No one? No one wants to participate? So probably everything was clear. So at the end of the day, I think that we can make a summary, okay? Summary is that you have 2 new tax benefits that you have here in Mexico. The one is the immediate deduction for fixed asset. You can deduct it in 1 year instead of deducting it in a tax perspective in 2, 3, 5, or 10 years, depends on the asset. You can deduct it in 1 year. And the other one is that you have a 25% additional deduction for the expenses that are related to the training and to the innovation projects that you have here in Mexico. So, if no one has anything else to add, I appreciate that you connected. I appreciate your participation. Thank you very much to everyone, wherever you are.
Sorry, Roberto.
Yeah, sure.
I was talking on mute, sorry. Then I realized that you were not replying to me. I have just one question. So let's say that let's say that I have an operation starting up, and for let's say the first 2 years, I'm waiting for the COFEPRIS approval, for example, for a new product or something like this. So I'm not getting any revenue, right? I can like wait to use this deduction later on. How does it work? I get like what I need to use right away.
No, the only thing that we have on the limit side of this deduction regarding the expenses of the training and the innovation is that you have to apply it in the year that happens. So let's say that in the year that happens this, if you're not having a tax to be paid, then you will lose.
Cannot use it.
Yeah, you cannot do it, and you will lose that benefit. It's only if you have taxes to pay in that year. If you have taxes to pay in that year, then you can apply it.
I can apply, and there is no other way. Let's say that get this deductions and sell it to another company, for example, for them to use on your behalf. Because I know I'm saying this because here in Brazil we have something really similar for one specific taxes in a state, and we can sell to other companies. So if I'm going to use it, I can sell to another company and they can use those benefits, because there is a lot of companies that have accumulate taxes deductions and others that needs to get those deductions. So there is a whole market around it because of that.
Yeah, sure. That could be done. Even there are a lot of strategies that you can also do, such as merge companies, and these buy it from another company and have the expenses on your company.
On your book, yeah.
Yeah, you can do that. That's a good strategy, Milton. So you do that on Brazil. Which part of Brazil are you at?
I'm in São Paulo.
Sao Paulo, very nice. Sao Paulo. I was in November in Sao Paulo last year.
Oh, good. Yeah. So São Paulo it's a state that have a lot of taxes, and there's some other states like Goiás that have like a lot of exoneration for imported products, for example. So a lot of people are getting those. That is not actually a deduction. Is like a benefit, and it accumulates, right? So people that are on São Paulo, for example, they need to use this. And other companies from Goiás that have a lot, because the product is ended to São Paulo but being moved to Goiás, have a lot of this to sell. So basically you get in touch and you can negotiate and go to the system and you can apply for different companies. So there is a whole market around it, but it's basically business to business, because it's more to the relationship on the company. So that's why I was asking, because some companies have a lot, some companies they don't have it, or they're just starting up. So they need something to start up, and they have some incentives, but later on they cannot use, so they sell a lot.
Yeah. And I know that in Brazil that are very it's more complex, your taxes,
really?
How to pay taxes over there, that in most of the country. I was going to say that in Mexico, but not in most of the countries. Brazil is I think is the worst.
Yeah. I totally understand. It's really because we have taxes for all the chains, as the product is moving or the service is moving on, you have taxes all over the way, different ones. Importation is crazy. So yeah, I know what you what you mean.
Yeah. Thank you, Milton. Thank you very much.
Great. Thank you, Roberto.
Yeah, thank you. Someone else that wants to add something, chit chat, make a joke? Yeah, Cipele, go ahead.
Yes, so I had a question first about the training. I know you mentioned that it needs to be industry specific. What about things like leadership training or management training or those types of things? Would those be covered?
Soft skills? You mean soft skills? More
Yes.
related to soft skills, no?
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. Also that those has to, that those particularly are also include in this tax benefit. Yes.
Okay, perfect. And regarding the one-time tax, um, I would like to get that list. I'm looking more for like manufacturing, elements and things like that. And you had mentioned that as long as it's the first time being used, the machine, if it was used in the United States and I bring it from the United States here, it's still new to Mexico, so it would still apply. Is that correct?
I didn't get the question as well, Cipele. So you mean that from a manufacturer, if you bring something from a foreign country to Mexico, if you can apply it, those was that the question?
Yeah, so machinery from the United States, for instance, I could import
Yes.
here to Mexico, and because it was never used here in Mexico, it would still apply. Is that correct?
Correct. That's right. Even from everywhere, If you bring some machinery from all of the world here into Mexico, and it's first used in Mexico, even it was used in the country or original country, doesn't matter. You can apply it here, and that's a good tax benefit.
Okay, all right, perfect. Thank you so much.
Yeah, Jam, I don't know if you can project. Someone is asking for share again my cell phone and my email data. I don't know if you can just project the last slide again, please. Just for and you know what? Here in Mexico, we use a lot the WhatsApp. So if you send me a WhatsApp, for sure that I will reply very, very fast to you. Okay. So do you have that slide?
Yes. Yes. Hold on.
And she also put it in the chat.
That's it.
And Roberto, just one final question. When you talked about AI being utilized, is it mostly in the business world where Mexico is using AI to revolutionize like taxes and the turnaround, or is that for individuals as well?
For everyone, individuals, and also for everyone, Cipele. And you know what? As I mentioned, I always give these kind of talks to or well conversations with a lot of colleagues and a lot of friends and a lot of people and a lot of even students. And I think that we are behind the tax authorities or the authorities because they are using AI very the in a very good way, and they are doing it such as in the taxes you can see the collection of the taxes from the last years and has been huge more amounts that collected in previous years because of this. And they are using it very well because you have with the AI, even, in my firm, I can share you just a little bit thing project that we have just run. We just run 1 month ago is to automate, make an automatization of the process of the recovery of the taxes from tax authorities. Tax authorities, they are always for not too much for individuals, but yes, for companies. Here in Mexico, tax authorities are always asking for additional information. And they say, okay, so show me where was the bank statement where you pay, show me the invoice, show me everything about this, and make a link between the bank statement and the invoice that you pay and your accounting records. Well, we used to do that, like we say here in Mexico, with the mouse. We do it with the mouse. Now we make this project with AI here in my firm in Querétaro specifically, and we're the first one in Russell Bedford that are doing it. So I'm proud of that. So we make this automatization of the process, and now AI is doing that for us. Not the mouse, not the people. AI is doing that, the hard work, So that's an example about how AI is considering in the taxes. And I think everywhere, you know, Cipele, even in your industry, in your sector, you know.
Yeah, yeah, that's great. Wow. Well, that was very interesting. Thank you, Roberto, for joining us today. Thank you, everyone else, for joining us as well. We have a continued series. More advisory board members will be presenting in the next upcoming months. And so we thank you all for joining us today and being part of this with us. Jim, thank you so much for all of your hard work and always pulling these off for us as well.
Thank you, and we will share the recording shortly after this. So yeah. Also, Roberto, would you like to share also the presentation if I'll
Yeah,
share the
please.
recording?
Please
Okay.
share the presentation to everyone. Yeah, please share it, please.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you to everyone. Nice seeing
Bye-bye.
you. See you in the next one.